Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be checking out Grave by developer Broken Window Studios. This is a preview version of an upcoming surrealist first-person survival horror game that happens to be procedurally generated, and I'll be honest with you, I usually tend to make fun of these sorts of games, at least horror games in general, because most of the time the execution's pretty weird. This one seems very cool. I've only spent a few minutes with it, but what I've seen so far seems to indicate that there's some good quality going on here, and it could actually lead to me being reasonably afraid, I guess is the word I was going to say frightened, but, you know, afraid. Why not? We'll go there. So we're going to do a little bit of a tour through this one. I can't guarantee I will know what's going to be coming up, even though I've played a little bit of it, because I believe this version itself, even this early on in production, might still be procedurally generated. So why don't we start up a normal mode play here, and we will see what we can get into as far as descriptions and see what we've even got on offer here. So the game tends to exist in a dream world that seems to be framed mostly in a desert, but there's an active day-night cycle, and there are actually pockets of reality that'll sort of transpose in and out. And when I said surrealist, it's actually like proper surrealist, like it's actually got Salvador Dali references, however light they may be, as well as a host of bizarre creatures that I actually really like the art style to, as well as just random relics and just strange artifacts that we might run into, and some very cool lighting effects and stuff too. Well, obviously you're probably picking up on a lot of that stuff already. We've got a pretty heavy color saturation thing going on. We've got some depth of field, we've got some bloom lighting, we've got some God rays, some bump mapping, all of those things that we like to find in our indie horror games, I suppose. And it's nice and smooth. It's a Unity game, in case you're wondering. And this development company, Broken Window Studios, actually ran a successful Kickstarter for this game, which you don't actually see too often. So this one is actually in production right now, and it looks pretty promising. There are actually a number of items that we're going to be looking for. There's actually a minor crafting system involved in this. Since it is technically kind of open world, they're not really going to try to push you in any one direction necessarily, so you can take your time and look around. But the balance is between light and dark in a lot of ways, obviously. One of the big ways is just, you know, not being caught out in the dark in the middle of the night, because bad things are going to happen. So I found some matches, and that leads me to my next point. We don't actually use traditional firearms or melee in Grave. This is actually a game where we use the light to defend ourselves. And I know you'll probably say, well, didn't Alan Wake do that? Yeah, but it's a little different in this one. You'll see what I mean when we get to actually running into some of the baddies here. And I've only seen a handful of them, but they can creep up on you in a way that you wouldn't expect. So, yeah. That's not a thing that was there before. And that's kind of the charm of Grave, isn't it? All of a sudden you think you know where you are, and bam, you're in the middle of a ruined city. So I actually don't know where I am now. Okay, well, I guess we've been redirected to be near this mine shaft, so I guess we're gonna go exploring a little bit in some dark cavernous areas. Doesn't that sound great for a horror game? I think we probably want to do that. It's such a nice sunny day out anyway. I think they actually started us at dawn, so they'll give us the full opportunity to wander about a little bit in the daylight, and then stuff's gonna get spoopy as it gets dark, because that's how it works. Alright, so instantly we walk from here to there, and I guess, is that just HDR lighting, or was that actually scripted? Because the whole contrast of the game changed when I walked into that cave, and now I've walked back out, and it doesn't look like it's reset to be all happy and pastel. Alright, so we can see the match does actually cast a little bit of view radius around us. We can see a little bit better than we could a moment ago, and this appears to be a generator. I've activated this generator, and we can see off into the distance there we've got a ways to go in that direction. What about over here? Anything going on with this door? It looks like there's actually a crack we can see between. This would be a great opportunity for something to slam into the door and scare the bejesus out of me, but I guess that's not going to happen. Really good production values, though, I have to say. I'm pretty impressed by what I'm seeing so far with Grave. I mean, I know I've sort of said this a couple of times. Oh, no. Alright, well, I guess we're gonna be hunted by a pterodactyl or something. Looks like a solid wall, maybe, on the other side of that door, so maybe that's not gonna work out for us. Maybe I'll hold up my match and walk very slowly. How does that sound? Sort of increases the suspense, doesn't it? I was actually... Oh, what is that? We've got a little bit of a fleck of light. And also, just to chime in again on my prior comment about wondering if this is a demo that is also procedurally generated, I'm seeing some repeat assets, but at the same time I'm also seeing them scattered in a little bit of a different order. So it may or may not be, but it doesn't matter because this is just a preview version anyway. We're going to see more later on. And I can't jump, so that's also a thing I need to be aware of in case... What is that? It's a weird bunch of roots coming through. Okay, well, nice stark lighting. I like that quite a bit. And down this path we go. I feel like I'm in one of the caves in Skyrim right now. It's actually got a very similar lighting quality and tonal value thing going on. It's kind of blurry texture over here. We'll just ignore that. But I do like these parts. Like, wherever there's bright sunlight shining through things, looks very nice. And is there just, like, chunks of canvas stuck to the wall? What is this about? Or is that just the rock textures? Oh, I think it's just very strange shading going on. Again, I'm not trying to dwell on this point or anything, because honestly, this is the least thing that I'm concerned about. What is more concerning is, and I had this issue before, I have a little trouble going up ladders. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it seems to involve a lot of trial and error in my experience. I had to keep, like, raising my hand up before, and then eventually the character just sort of gets with it. Gets with the program. There we go. Alright, that's not quite right. Another thing, since this is a demo, is there's not really much in the way of inventory management, and you can't really die. In the actual proper game, there's going to be permadeath, and there's also going to be a survival mode, which sounds really exciting, because basically you can play this indefinitely since it's procedurally generated, and involves, you know, resource management. And I'm not going to actually try and make an Isaac comparison here, but it is something that crossed my mind to do. We will be trying to survive for as long as we can using the items we can, and I suppose if things work out better on one run than another, we may end up in a fortuitous situation sometimes and not others. I think that's kind of self-evident. You're probably wondering why I went away from what looked to be a thing that's worth paying attention to. I just kind of wanted to see what would happen if I went out on this side. And I think I almost blurred out of reality, and then maybe I just jumped back in at the very last moment. Alright, let's go to this direction now. This is actually one of the assets that I saw last time when I walked through this area. But I think this is going to transition us nicely into the dusk and night section of our little conquest. And, oh, it looks like I found one of those relics that I was mentioning earlier. This thing is very strange. So you look at it from a distance, you're like, what on earth is that? Is it like a metal snake sculpture? And then you get closer, and bam! All of a sudden it's starting to whir. And there's a crazy sound coming out of it, and I don't know what to make of any of it. I really like the lighting effect that happens, though. Very spooky, very mysterious. And then we will land on some sort of plot of land with a farm. It reminds me a little bit of Courage the Cowardly Dog. It's probably this, to be honest with you, and I think you know what I mean. But let's go see if we can find any other objects before the darkness falls and we are reborn. Yes, that was a Killswitch Engage reference. We picked up a gas can. What do I do with a gas can? Well, I can probably light things on fire. Ooh, look at the shiny barrel. Did you see the nice... the bump mapping on that, or the shader effect on the metal band? Oh god, somebody turned off the lights, apparently. Got a couple of batteries here. Oh, that's a bad sound. Oh god, there's a Slender Man character or something here. Alright, well, we're just gonna go in this direction, then. Apparently, whenever they switch the lights off, that's gonna be a big problem for us. So I've trapped myself in this building, kinda not smart. Yeah, I figured he could... Yeah, probably just go right up that. Did horrible things to me. I guess that was a checkpoint. Alright, that actually makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So the thing that made me not think this was a checkpoint is I actually found one that was about 80 times the size of this in the middle of the desert. So, yeah, that's kind of mysterious and awesome, right? Also, it seems like we've had the lighting effects moved backward in time to whenever that checkpoint happens. So that's worth noting as well. So I'm really enjoying the ambience of this. I'm really enjoying the ideology behind this concept. I don't think I see enough horror games that feel like they have a fully fleshed out idea behind them that's not just like run away from Scary Man. And yeah, there's some of that in this, of course. And sometimes you're actually just totally in the mood for Run Away from Scary Man, but this one feels like there's actually a few options. The documentation that I was reading about it stated that there were multiple ways to solve pretty much every problem you could run into. I mentioned there's a crafting system. You're going to want to try and hoard items. They tried to set it up in a position where certain items will appear in risky positions that you'll have to go after at night. So that seems like the framework for, well, you know, endless fun in a horror setting. And just in general, I just like the fact that this is such an ethereal, bizarre dreamscape that's made up of strangeness, just like bizarre, surreal moments that'll just show up out of nowhere. And occasionally you'll get references to things that make absolutely no sense. Is this another checkpoint over here, or is this the same direction I just came from? Should probably know that, right? I think that's the direction I just came from, because obviously there was the wind thing up there. Alright, let's just go out into the desert then and do a little bit of exploring. See if we can phase out of reality again, because that's usually where the good fun happens. I guess by resetting, by dying, I've, like, broken the day-night system or something, or at least reset it. That's probably for the best, because I needed a little bit more time, to be honest. I had one guy chasing me around a little bit on my prior run before I started the recording, and I got some flashbangs, and basically that was just like an insta-kill on them, so I just had a couple of those and was just tossing them off. And basically worked out really well for me, but I did not have a flashlight prior, so that's kind of interesting. Also love the fact that there's dynamic shadows. I mean, it looks strange when you see them going like this. Obviously, shadows don't really move that quickly, but it's also just kind of creepy, too, right? It almost looks like you're walking through the introduction sequence of, like, The Walking Dead or something, where everything is sped up on purpose. Alright, so we've got some flares. I'm almost tempted to want to try to walk up these power lines, just in case they actually have some sort of physical mass to them. But I also really want to see where these train tracks go, because it looks like they go off into the horizon. Let's see if we can walk up these power lines. No, okay, I guess not. Ah, there it is! I found Burning Man. Alright, let's go hang out over there, because probably no demons or bad stuff will happen in this direction, right? I really like how creepy it looks off in the distance when it's all depth of fielded out, and you just can't really make out what you're looking at. If I hadn't have seen the small version of it, actually, this would be much creepier. I kind of wish this was the first thing that you get presented with in this category of strangeness. And I also hope that there is other stuff that's equivalently odd to this. So it's making a crashing sound for some reason. Sort of like that, what was it, Firefall or Titanfall? I don't remember which one it was, but there was at PAX 2013 in Boston, PAX East. 2014, actually. 2013? 2013. There was just a big old smashing thing in the lobby, and it was just really strange, and it was making a sound like that I was imagining the event people that had to sit in that lobby really didn't like that after a while. Okay, tossed a flare. He doesn't seem too affected by it, and also... Okay, there we go. I guess I had to get him at the critical mass moment of being near this. But yeah, just in general, I wish there were more characters to see, more enemy characters to see in this, but at the same time, I can't be too upset. We've got a pretty freaking cool-looking preview version here to play, and of course you guys can go check this out yourself as well. This trial version that I'm playing right now is totally free, and you can go ahead and download it, and there's even going to be a link to it right in the description of this video, and I would urge you to go see what kind of discoveries you can make personally, because I want to know what other secrets there are around here. So I could kind of hang out by this overnight if I really wanted to, let these guys keep filtering in and then just shine lights at them and various things like that. I don't think that's as fun as it could be, though. I think I'd rather go exploring a little bit more before we wrap things up. Oh, hello. You want to fight me? I've got a flashlight. What do you think about that? You look a little bit like Chronicles of Riddick Vin Diesel with the goggles on. Do you have shined eyes, bro? Oh, there's probably another one back into my side. Okay, let's run away in this direction now. Oh, there's quite a few of them, aren't there? Okay. Well, I guess we can try taking a sprint. If things turn out bad for us, well, that's just the way things go. There are a lot of enemies, my goodness. There are no actual firearms in this game, by the way, in case you were wondering. I might have said that already, but it is something to be aware of, because we're not going to go and find a shotgun underneath this barn, or next to this barn or something, and just start blasting away at them. What are you guys doing? You're like... Wait, what's up with this one? Oh, okay. Vanished. What is that light? Oh my god, there's so many mysterious, strange things happening. Is that just the sun? Oh, it was so low that I thought it was just some sort of mysterious UFO that was coming down for me. I'm actually disappointed now that it wasn't something crazy. Where am I? I think I've come out the other side, because there's no... wind thing. Alright, so let's go down the tracks one more time. See if this leads anywhere. If we phase out of reality, I'm gonna go with it. And then I think we'll wrap up our video on Grave. Very cool game. I am enjoying my time here. hope to see some more developments on this, because this looks like the type of thing that I might want to go and play a little bit. Alright, so there we go. We're phasing out. Time is definitely distorted in Lordran. Where... Oh. That's not very effective at all. Okay, so I kind of just walked off of that plane of reality, and then it just sort of phased me back in, going back the direction I came. So maybe I've actually found the tangible boundaries of the small world that they've created for this demo. And it's strange because I didn't see that city sequence the first time I played it, but most of the rest of it looked the same. So maybe I just avoided that house, or something happened slightly differently that was just a barely different turn of events. But as it turns out, maybe this is actually replicable from one run to the next. But it was an entertaining run regardless, and I would love to see how things shape up once we start getting randomized elements really going in this. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around and hanging out with me for Grave. Like I said, the link is going to be right in the description if you want to go download this yourself. I think it was about a 3 to 400 megabyte file. It didn't take all that long for me. Hopefully, well, your mileage may vary, I guess I'll just say that. Hopefully it won't take too long for you. But be sure to let me know what you think of this in the comments. Are you psyched for it? Is this something you might play? Is this something you might be excited to perhaps buy if it happens to show up on Steam? And I'm kind of thinking it might. There is a Greenlight campaign, I think. I didn't see a lot of details, but since the Kickstarter went through, it seems like they've got funding, and we're just going to stick with it and see what happens. And that's just going to lead back to that same spinny artifact, isn't it? It looked very different from a different angle. Almost more creepy, actually. Anyway, it's about to be night, so thank you everybody for watching. As always, be sure to come back again tomorrow. If you enjoyed this episode, consider leaving a like on it. It does help me out a whole bunch. And I will see you back here for another episode of Indie Impressions. Catch you all later.